Today on Inside Bikes, we are with an icon of the British motorcycle industry, an icon of motorcycling, because this is the largest capacity motorcycle that you can buy. It's got a 2.5 litre engine. It is the latest version of the Triumph Rocket 3. It is the Triumph Rocket 3 Storm GT. Oldies like me can remember 20 years ago, 2004, and the first Triumph Rocket came out, and man, you looked at it and you went, what the heck is that all about? 2.3 litres, Triumph, such a conservative company. They built this bike, 2.3 litres, power cruiser, absolutely staggering. It sold better than anything else that they'd made up till that time. And it got a lot of guys coming off bikes like Hayabusas onto Rocket 3s. It was a time when we were obsessed with sports bikes, and this thing just threw a bomb into that. And it was such an important bike for Triumph, not just because of sales, but because of the statement it made. Now, like most bikes, it evolved, it went through a few different generations, and then it kind of fell out of the range a few years ago, which we thought we'd sort of seen the last of the Rocket 3. After all, 2.3 litre motorcycle, it's a little bit decadent, and it wasn't what the world was all about. But Triumph really surprised us. 5 years ago, they brought out a new revived Rocket 3, an all-new Rocket 3, 2.5 litre engine, bigger, bored out version of the original block, with all the latest gadgets and gizmos. You know, the old Rocket 3 was an absolute brute of a thing, very unsophisticated. The new one brought a little bit more sophistication, more power, 165 brake horsepower. This, they're kind of billing it as all new. I think they're pushing their luck a little bit with that one. But this is the latest version. It's out this year. It's the 20th anniversary of the Rocket 3, and it is called the Storm. Big difference with this bike, it's got more power, 15 more horsepower, 180 brake horsepower this thing makes. But you ride it and it's not about the power. Yeah, it makes 180 horsepower, but it doesn't make it like a sports bike. This is all about the torque. It's all about the pulling power. 225 Newton meters of torque is more than any other petrol powered motorcycle on sale today. Only electric vehicles are pulling more than that. Now look, it's kind of hard to review this in the way that you'd review a normal motorcycle, because it is just so absolutely bonkers. It's crazy, and you know, when we do these, we're always trying to think, who's going to buy one of these? Honestly, I don't know, but it's someone with a sense of humour. It is big, and it is imposing, and it's black, and it's bold, and it's massive. Handlebars, 1.1 metres wide. The tank is huge, it's massive, but actually the seat height is only 750 millimetres, and that's lower than most bikes. And actually, one of the things about it is it's very heavily sculpted in there. Look, I'm a little stumpy short guy, and I don't really have too many problems riding this. It's actually all right, but it is heavy, 320 kilograms, and boy, do you feel it when you're pushing it around and pushing it out of the garage. It is big, it is heavy, and I think those bolts on the shaft drive take up most of the weight. Look at them, they're absolutely massive. They do two versions of this bike. This is the GT, it's more cruiser style, it's got the feet forward controls on it. They also do the R version, which has got centrally mounted foot pegs on it and flatter bars. Doesn't have the sissy bar or the backrest as they call it now. Bit of a gripe on this, I'm okay with feet forward. I'm not one of those guys that like hates it, but because you've got these big heat shields over the exhaust, it does generate a heck of a lot of heat coming through, and I found it quite uncomfortable. Now you can adjust the foot pegs there. There's three settings. This is the middle one. I'm stretching a little bit of that. You can push it forward by about 25 millimeters or an inch as the Americans would call it, or you can bring it towards you. Now that might affect the ground clearance. Ground clearance actually all right for what it is, but yeah, I find that quite uncomfortable. The R version is centrally mounted foot pegs. I think that might be better for me, so worth trying out. Interestingly though, you can buy those foot pegs and interchange them. So if you prefer the R but you've got GT, you can buy new foot pegs, you can buy the different handlebars on it, and it's very adjustable. The bars change, the foot pegs change, and crikey, it's just something a bit different. It does feel cumbersome at low speeds, but we're riding on a lot of A roads and B roads that we use a lot to test bikes and inside bikes, and bikes that we think are quite bumpy. It just is like sitting on a big sofa. It just absorbs the bumps. Yeah, you know what, it's not the most agile machine. You wouldn't expect it to be. Look at that big front wheel, 17-inch, but with a really high profile tyre, so it's more like a 19-inch front wheel on it. But fantastically stable, comfortable as you like, and that torque just means you can just stick it in third or fourth gear and you can just twist the throttle and it's almost like an automatic. It is so deceptive how it rides. You've got all the gizmos and gadgets. You've got ride modes. You've got a really nice TFT dash in there. But the whole thing is it's actually quite simple and brutish. Surprisingly comfortable. Also at speed, you know, I thought I'd be sat out like a sail and quite uncomfortable at speed, but this little fly screen does its job. Mirrors are okay, but super smooth, so you don't have the vibrations that you get on smaller capacity motorcycles. Look, I've spent a lot of time with Rocket 3s over the years, and they've always put a smile on my face. Whether I'd want to own one's another matter, but this is light years ahead of what they did 20 years ago. You know, 20 years ago they were crude. The gear change was rubbish on them. This got 6-speed gearbox. Not gearbox of the year by any stretch of imagination, but slick enough. You know, look, this bike's not all about the spec, but you know, everything is top of the range. It's an expensive bike, so fully adjustable suspension. It's about that engine. Honestly, the only thing that matters in this bike is that engine there. But another big thing that I really like is the fact that it's got these headlights, the iconic Triumph bug-eye headlights. Remember back in '96? I certainly can. These things came out, everyone's like, what the heck is that? These are incredibly ugly. But over the years, they became Triumph signature. Things like the Speed Triple, the Street Triple, the Rocket, all had those bug-eye headlights. Sadly, they sort of disappeared from the Roadster range, but you still get a Rocket 3, albeit with LED internals in them, and I think that's a really nice touch by Triumph. They're paying a bit of homage to their history there, and I like that. Look, this isn't a bike for everyone. That absolutely goes without saying. The price in itself will knock a lot of people out of the market. £23,895 for this version, a little bit less for the R version. But what you get is a riding experience absolutely like nothing else you'll ever get. You know, I'm incredibly lucky in my job to ride some pretty special bikes. This is a pretty special bike, and thank you very much to Triumph to giving us the opportunity to sample it. If you get a chance to ride a Rocket 3 in your riding career, you definitely should do it, even if it's not the bike for you to buy. It's one of those bucket list bikes. It's iconic, it's amazing that Triumph still make these, and I'm so glad they do. Thank you for watching. Read a full review, link below. Until next time, ride safe.